Now, on to the next topic for you guys. We're going to talk a little bit of DC versus Stipe Miocic now. For those of you who didn't see this fight, it was what you could actually say is that Miocic was losing. Three rounds to 0
totally.
even.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
He made an adjustment in the 4th round, and he ended up with a knockout on DC, and it wasn't a flash knockout. It was set up with left hook to the body. It must have been 12 to 14 times before he went upstairs and clocked him and took him out. Now, before we're not here to dissect the video. What we're here is to posit some questions about the future steps for DC specifically. First, I offer to you, what do you think are the next steps for DC? Does he go straight into retirement? Does he opt for the trilogy, a true trilogy, mind you, not a John Jones trilogy where you lost both, where it's 1-1, it's a rubber match? Do you think he comes in and tries to defend that, or do you think he walks into the sunset?
I think John Jones is probably not going to happen, man. For sure. That's out. If I got to rank things.
He cost John Jones millions of dollars.
I would say this is the least likely fight to be made.
And this is probably the meanest thing that he's done to John Jones.
I know, ironically.
He hurt his wallet.
Yeah.
It's like you lost this fight, and now this, I don't know, maybe it gross anywhere from 6 to 9 million,
yeah.
10 million. I saw Chael Sonnen talking about saying he cost him about 8 million in his approximation. Look, you're costing dudes millions of dollars. They're not going to like it. There's a reason why John Jones went and tweeted this. Well, I guess there's no question now that Stipe is the best heavyweight of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I offer to you, what are the next steps for DC after this kind of stuff?
Well, I think that on one side, he's got all the media stuff that he's doing, the commentary, the UFC stuff, the analyst jobs. I think he's definitely that's his career now. It's not even his next career. It's already his career. So
100%.
It's it would be hard to say that, remember when we did the breakdown before the fights? I was like, yo, man, I don't know, like, this is great, but DC was like doing the media stuff all the time. He was like, had 1,000 interviews with him before the fight. Like, and I see Stipe was training.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile.
He's not spreading himself too thin.
So he was already had one foot out the door.
Woodley did. Recording albums and doing TMZ.
That's what I'm saying. And you see the result.
I agree.
And that's the harsh reality, right? Fighting is so difficult on that level that you cannot really do a few things at a time. You got to just focus on fighting. You got to eat, breathe, and sleep fighting. That's why a lot of those fighters are great in the beginning of their career. And honestly, man, I don't think there's so much the physical deterioration of their bodies that gets into their 30s. I mean, yes, there's definitely that, of course, wear and tear and injuries and all that. But I think the mental side of it is gone more so, when you get into your 30s. And if you've accomplished a lot in your 20s, as maybe you've been a champion, you lost your title, whatever the case might be. I think that I think that's what's happening here, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, when it comes to when it comes to any sport, any athlete, what it comes down to is how you leave your sport. Are you leaving, because there's many ways to exit a sport. Well, I think there's like 3 ways I can think on the top of my head. Is injury, deselection, as in they don't want you anymore.
They don't resign you.
Like Carmelo Anthony
Free
style.
agent, nobody wants to sign you.
Right? And
shout out Jeremy Lin.
Age.
Anyways.
Obviously, age being one of them, because now you're just too old to play the sport and you just walk away on your own volition. You're like, I'm done. And out of the ways to walk away on your own, get deselected from your sport, and injury, obviously this isn't injury related, and he's not deselected. This guy's still fighting the best in the world. It's up to him at this point saying, he said it himself, I don't want to be that guy who goes in that 3, 4, 5 fight losing streak, and that's what the last image in people's minds are. And I understand where he's coming from that perspective. If I'm Daniel Cormier, I can comfortably sit there and say, I'm one of the best to ever do it. I don't care how scrutinizing you want to be. If you want to say I'm 3rd, 4th, 5th, I don't care where you want to put me on the all-time list of fighters. Even if you want to have me at the bottom of the top 10, no one can take away your accomplishment as a wrestler, albeit, like, you lost to a guy who had your number. As an MMA practitioner, although you lost to a couple guys who seem to have your number. Honestly, if that fight kept going with Miocic, where he looked like he was crisp off the top, kept going, DC might lose that fight too. Yeah. Because Miocic was in a way worse position and came back and said, no, watch this adjustment. And those left body shots, setting up the high right with the right hand. Those right body shots with the right kick from John Jones, setting up the left high kick coming the other side. So clearly the body shots accumulate, and he allows it to accumulate. And that's not a good sign. When you're fighting out of pride and ego, you're not wrestling like your coaches are telling you in your corner. You're coming out and you're just striking with a guy
That
who's
slam
dangerous.
was amazing, but beyond
I never
that,
thought
yeah.
a striking, because Miocic is very skilled boxing, but he's not dynamic.
Yes.
He's just a boxer, right? So when a specialized striker comes in who's using mainly just his fists and is able to outstrike someone like DC, who should be well-rounded enough to deal with that, Gustafsson had success with him.
Yep.
Miocic had success, and that's because, again, he got away from the game plan.
Right.
And
And Stipe wasn't moving that much. He was pretty flat-footed.
thank you.
He
He was
really,
getting beat up.
right. He looked a little flustered and like kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Must
You
be
know what I'm saying?
some
Like
form of ring
in the
rust,
first
too.
couple rounds, first couple rounds of the fight, he looked a little lost, and I
Right.
think he actually acknowledged that in the press
He
conference
did.
after that.
He did. He
was
said he
like,
fought like a bitch.
yes, I think he said that. That was amazing. Yeah,
I love it.
That's funny. But yeah, not that he fought like a bitch. I don't think he fought like a bitch. I think he just had one game plan, came in, didn't really like pan out the way he wanted to. DC had the upper hand, and he was like at one point he was like, oh, so what do I do now? But he figured it out with the body shots pretty well. Those worked amazingly. And back to, I didn't really answer your question. I think DC retires because, I mean, let's face it, he's 40 years old now. And I was gonna say, you know what, my first reaction was, we're not gonna see DC fight anytime soon, at least in the next year, is what I think. First of all, he's got to recover from that. That's about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then also, you know, he's gonna have to get back in shape and stuff like that. I'm not sure this is the type of guy that like trains non-stop out of camp. You know, I think he probably coaches more than he trains when he's not in camp. And he's got too many injuries, like what happened with his back, and he's got a few things going on. So if he did go away for a year and then hypothetically took a huge fight after that for his last, you know, curtain call or whatever you want to call it, still I don't know if he's gonna do it, because that's a year from now. He's gonna be 41 or whatever, and he's gonna have to like overcome like coming back to getting back in shape, going to the whole thing for what? For a potential another loss. And what happens if it is a loss to Stipe or John Jones, even whoever? Is that like, you know what I'm saying? The risk, like you were saying before, the risk is like just too big in this case.
It is, and there's the risk versus the reward. It's just not worth it. I mean, he came in, he lost to John Jones, no contest against John Jones, which we all know is like overturned, even though he knocked him the hell out with a head kick and punches. And then we got this TKO from Stipe Miocic. You know what? You got 22 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest that everyone knows was just another knockout loss. Let's just be honest here. It might be time to just be, you know what? Say that you're done. You fought at heavyweight. You've only lost once at heavyweight, and it just happened to be a TKO while in a fight that you were winning, right?
Yeah.
And you're 40, dude. And you're not getting any younger. You're not getting any lighter. You like to, like, dude, this guy's, you've got a huge, bright career for you in commentating. He's one of the best commentating switch over from any sport. One of a former athlete coming onto the mic. He's one of the best I've ever seen do that transition. That was one of my main things I wanted to talk about in terms of retirement, is those things that decide what happens when you go and retire. Usually one of the biggest things is the psychology afterwards of knowing where you are, who you are, and what you want to do with your life afterwards. Look at Chuck Liddell, felt lost and wanted to fight again. DC ain't got to worry about that, man. This guy's got a solid career where he's going to be not worrying about putting food in his kids' mouths or anything like that for the rest of his career. Hang him up. Everyone respects you. We don't want to see you take another KO loss, because that's just going to make you, again, risk versus reward.
So this might be the best time for him to retire, and I don't think anybody's going to consider him any
Walk
worse.
away with your head held high, brother.
Absolutely. One apiece with Stipe. We know Stipe is a beast. One apiece with Stipe. He put him out. He got put out. That's fine. John Jones, I think we are all over. Like most of us are
done.
over. We don't really like.
It's not a trilogy. You lost both matches.
Yeah. So,
oh, we need to see it at heavyweight. I don't think we need to see that at all.
And the real realization that I just had was, dude, everybody from AKA retired just now, pretty much. Rockhold, Kane is doing lucha libre wrestling, whatever the hell he's doing with the masks.
Yeah.
And now DC. Like, so that generation, the golden.
You're definitely having a phase out. But then you have the younger bucks that are taking over, like the Khabibs.
But you're seeing the turning of tides, and that's what I'm saying with Kane and Luke going away. And now DC definitely should probably go on that same boat and sail away and be a coach, be a mentor to the young guys, do his commentary stuff. I think that's where he's at.
Well, all the best to Daniel Cormier and whatever it is that he does decide to do. I wish him nothing but the best of luck. And
One of the GOATs.
one of the greatest fighters and just athletes as a stand-up human being, not even just outside of the athletic.
I like him all around, man.
As a human being, he's one of the best guys out
I don't get the haters, so I like him.
And that's exactly it. And all the best to DC, no matter what he chooses to do.
Yeah, man. Respect.